A lot. A lot. Happy to be here.
A lot to talk about.
Get a timestamp on this. What's today's date?
I don't know, the 11th?
Wonderful evening.
A lot to talk about.
First, you should, and I would thank everyone for
Yeah.
letting us into their homes. All the people.
Yes. All the people out there. Welcome to the show. We had a big weekend, lot to talk about. They call it Super Wild Card weekend. 3 games every day. I mean, if you're married with 2 kids like I am, it's kind of difficult to see, to watch 3 games on Saturday and 3 games on Sunday. But, that is what it is. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Mets making a trade. Big splash by the Mets. We'll talk a little college football.
And did you unlock this so that people can see it on Facebook? Make sure.
I don't know. There we go. Yeah. So
We'll know as soon as people.
yeah, in
Start
case
making a
you missed
comment.
the first minute or two. So just to recap, we got a lot to talk about, right? Thanks for joining us. A very big wild card, super wild card Saturday and Sunday. 3 games. We'll get right into it. We'll talk about that. Talk about the Mets making a splash. And we'll talk about a little college football. We got the big national championship game on today. So Alabama and Ohio State. We'll talk about that. Talk about the quarterback. I went to the gym today.
Fantastic. What was the
I
occasion?
went to the gym.
Did you just want to know where it was, or is this
Well-
one of your New Year's? What do they call it when you make a promise for the New Year's? It's
A
called
resolution?
Resolution.
I don't believe in those. But what happened was I don't go back and watch these live. I don't go back and watch the show. I don't listen to the podcast that I do because I don't want to be influenced. I just want to, get it out there. I don't want to try to make myself sound differently because I heard the broadcast, but I did listen to Steve Peruso, his spot last week, and when I shared the picture, I noticed how fat my face was on camera. So Jake needs to go to the gym just, to get some baseball workout stuff in. So
Who's Jake?
Jake's my son, 16. So, yeah, I'm his guest. Signed him up for the gym, and I'm going.
I think that's fantastic.
This way I don't have to. I also don't want to be out of breath while I'm ranting.
You went to the gym today,
Yeah, this morning, got up early before work.
and what was your workout? If this was your first regimen, or this was your first workout in quite some time, what was your workout?
I walked a mile, ran a half a mile, walked another mile, and then I did some, machines for my shoulders and my back.
And from a safety perspective, a lot of people are itching to get out and join the gym or do other things that are social. So
It was empty.
How did
That
you
was
feel about the surroundings you were in?
Fine. Everything was spaced out. I mean, people were kind of, they respected your space, and, everybody was wiping down machines, and I guess that's what you normally do. I don't normally go to the gym.
That's right.
So
this
I
was-
don't know pre-COVID gym. Like, this is that gym now is my reality.
What time was this?
We went at 7.
So you got up.
Got
and
my
by
ass up.
7 a.m., you
Yeah.
were in the gym for the first time in January 2021. Got yourself a good workout. How
Yeah.
does it feel?
Feel great.
I think that's fantastic.
Feel great. We'll see.
Congratulations.
We'll see what happens.
Listen,
But-
man, I hope that you
Yeah.
stick with it.
So, did you watch the games this weekend?
Are you talking to the friends that are listening
Talking
to
to
us
you.
right now?
Talking to you. Not talking to them yet. By the way, that's a good point. So, we're going to take calls, as we move forward here during the show. We're going to open up the phone lines, as they say, in the business. And the number to call in is 845-366-2095.
It's right behind you,
And
actually.
oh, yeah, look at that. We got a TV up here now. You'll see it.
845-366-2095.
2095. We'll take some calls. You just have to be a little patient when I'm patching it through because it gets a little, sometimes it gets a little touchy. But I hope everybody can hear me okay out there. Can't see the comments. All right. So let's start You want to start with the Colts and the Bills, since that seems to be the game everybody in this area kind of was talking about
Sure.
in the beginning.
a good
a lot
game.
of Buffalo fans.
I thought the Colts were going to pull it off.
They would have if they just weren't totally inept.
So we're starting off with the AFC.
I'm going to start off with the
Colts versus
AFC
the
right
Bills.
now. Yep.
It was the old man, the gunslinger from California.
Guns. Every old quarterback's a gunslinger.
I already forgot his name.
I
'Cause
thought
he's probably going to be retired.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
But I thought
the old
Brett
man,
Favre.
age 41,
Was a
42.
gunslinger.
And you were educating me. He came into the league at the same time Eli Manning did.
He was actually drafted by the Giants. Manning was drafted by the Chargers, and they traded.
So Phillip Rivers, who has had a good career.
Yeah, really good
out
career.
in San Diego, but made it to a number of playoffs, but couldn't really get past the
No.
AFC.
Nope.
Did he go to one AFC championship maybe? If
I'm
that.
not 100% sure how many championship games he went to, but
So then he gets traded to the Colts on a 1-year deal.
yeah, because I think it's he put out a statement, or he did an interview where he said, you know, if I come back next year, it'll be with the Colts, and if not, I'll be coaching high school football, you know, down in wherever he's got like 9 kids.
So there's the story. You've got the old man who's trying to win one before he goes out. He gets tossed by San Diego and has to go out into the Colts, which were pretty much a team I thought that was rebuilding. And ultimately, they win, 11 games or 12?
Well, I don't
their
think
division?
I don't think the Colts really thought they were rebuilding. I thought they had the pieces in place.
I take that back. They didn't win their division
Because Tennessee did. But when Andrew Luck left, I think Indianapolis thought we have pieces here to win now. We need to insert quarterback.
and they did.
And they had what's the guy's name? Number 7 there. Brissett?
Yes, Colt. Yes.
Yes.
Jacoby
And then
Brissett.
and then obviously they signed Phillip Rivers. It's going to be interesting to see what they do moving forward, you know, going into next year. But
And then getting to the game, the other side of the story was Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was great.
Stephon Diggs.
There was
for the
one
Bills.
play, there was one play in that game, and the thing was with Josh Allen, like a lot of other quarterbacks now, he's a threat to run, right? He's a big. You want me to mute you here? Hold on. There we go. You can chew your cookie now. I go to the gym. He eats cookies. You know, he's a threat to run, and there was a play down by the goal line where he kind of like it looked like a design run play, and then before he got tackled, he jumped up and he threw it to like a tight end, or maybe it was a lineman who was, you know, eligible, and caught the ball. And it's a great play. Now the announcer was saying that wasn't designed, but if it wasn't designed, then why is that guy out in the corner of the end zone wide open? I think it's a great play, and that's the problem you have with Josh Allen, right? It's the same problem you have with Lamar Jackson. Those guys, I mean, and Allen's tough to stop, and the Colts did not help themselves with the play calling in that game. I think Reich had I just don't think he had a good game, and I think that's the general consensus throughout. So, did you happen to see the end of the game?
I was watching the end of the game. I thought the last 5 minutes of that game was the best part of the game because Phillip Rivers was trying to move that ball downfield. There was the fumble. And then I saw Phillip.
Well, this is what's interesting
Colts
because
got the ball back when they probably shouldn't have been able to get the ball back.
yeah, I know I said that, you know, the Colts were inept, but they were really in that game and they had a chance at the end. But then, you know, the Bills fans going to say, well, they really should have never even had a chance because that was a fumble. There's no other way around it. The guy went down, he got up, he started to run. His knee there was no question. Like, I know if it's questionable, it's the ruling on the field. There was no question that his knee was off the ground.
Which player are you talking about?
Talking about at the end where the Colts, you know, they're driving down the field, they get the reception. The receiver goes to get back up and runs and then gets stripped of the ball. That should have been the game. But what also happened is the Colts didn't have any timeouts, and I think they mismanaged their timeouts. Now, I know I kind of was talking about on social media that, you know, saving that timeout for after the 2-minute warning because Buffalo was punting on 3rd and long or 4th and long, and the Colts used the timeout, but it was their last timeout. So the argument is, do you keep the 30 seconds on the clock, you know, use that timeout before the 2-minute warning to keep that 30 seconds? They still would have had to punt the ball before the 2-minute warning. Or do you save that timeout for after, you know, within the 2 minutes? So I guess it's debatable. The reason I would save that timeout.
Here's the play you're talking about.
Yeah, this is not even. I mean, there is no question. There's absolutely no question.
that he got up.
Can you rewind that back? So he goes down. He's not giving himself up. Right there. His knee is a good 1.5 feet off the turf. Now, how is an NFL referee? How do you look at that on replay and come back and reverse that call? Or did they call it a fumble?
They did not.
I can't remember what the
they did
original
not,
call was.
because they gave the ball to the Colts.
They said he was down on
down.
combined contact. Yeah,
Right.
no, it was whatever it was. When they went and reviewed it, they totally screwed it. But before that, the reason I would want the Colts to keep that timeout is because things got real hectic after that 2 minutes, into that 2-minute warning, and they just had no clue what was going on. They couldn't get the ball out of bounds. There was just a lot of it. And when that play happened, my father-in-law, the whole family, my wife's side of the family, they're all diehard Colts fans. So I've watched a lot of Colts football, a lot of Colts playoff football with Peyton Manning, Jim Harbaugh. I mean, we're going back. I've never seen, and this is why I was raging in the living room when this happened, because I'm like, the Colts historically have just lost so many playoff games in the worst fashion. And I started to rail about, Jerome Bettis. I don't know if anybody remembers when they played the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think it was 2005, and Bettis fumbled the ball because my father-in-law and my brother-in-law, Corey, were at that game, and they were leaving in Indy. And as they were leaving out of the tunnel, Jerome Bettis fumbled the ball going into the end zone. And the one of the cornerbacks picked the ball up and started running for a touchdown, and he got tackled by Roethlisberger. And what's also funny about that is the guy that picked it up and ended up getting tackled was like stabbed in the leg by his girlfriend earlier in the week, and they didn't know if he was going to play. So the question was, if he didn't get stabbed in the leg by his girlfriend, would he have just ran for a touchdown? The game would have been over. But then they come back, and then Vanderjagt goes to kick a field goal, and he misses it by like 3 miles, not even close. And that's when the whole idiot drunk kicker from Peyton Manning came into play. But anyway, I've never seen the Colts. I mean, they just lose terrible playoff games. To the point where there's a stat to back up just how brutal this loss was for Indianapolis. And I have it right here. During Indy's 27-24 loss in the wild card round, the Colts became the first team in NFL playoff history to lose after turning the ball over 0 times and totaling 450 or more yards on offense.
And who was that source?
I think it was CBS or something like that.
That's good to give them their props.
CBS Sports. Before Saturday, the exact situation had happened a total of 11 times ever, and those teams had a combined 11-0 record. The crazy part is 11 of those teams, they won by an average of 21 points. The Colts lost. Brutal. Punting. There was two situations on 4th down where they punted. They should have went for it. I think the Colts had 11 possessions in Buffalo territory where they scored 0 points. Think about that for a second. 0 points. 11 minutes or 11 plays, 0 points. That's inept. That helped Buffalo win. I think Buffalo should have won anyway. Better team, but that's brutal. My lovely wife Amy said the ruling on the field stood down by contact.
Which was the wrong call, but
which was the wrong call. Now, are you saying she's wrong?
No, it was.
She's never wrong.
It looked to us like it was a fumble, and she's correct. That's what they called it. I would have rather. Well, it was good. I wanted to see the Colts have a good chance.
So just so everybody knows, we are also live streaming. We are also live streaming on YouTube. Sorry about that. We are also live streaming on YouTube at the New York Knick. So people that are listening, if you want to go to the New York Knick YouTube page and subscribe, I'm going to put a bunch of stuff on there. That's the New York Knick, NYNICK. What was your favorite game of the week? See, you know how this works here?
I have to talk at some point.
You have to talk at some point.
I'm here.
I know you're doing. Listen, I know you're doing a lot.
I'm doing a
I
lot.
appreciate it.
I'm technically
just need-
directing. I am facilitating. I am communicating. I am trying to make things happen and keep this show afloat. So people don't want to hear me. They want to
No.
hear you.
What pisses me off, though, to be honest, is that I put in 7 p.m. in that invite in that Facebook. Create a group or not a group, but you create an event, and some reason it kept coming up 8 o'clock, and I couldn't change it, even though it said 7 o'clock and everything I typed in when I went back to try to edit, and it still says 8 o'clock. No, producer Kenny's great. I know I try to give him a little shit, but he's got a lot going on over there.
Tampa Bay. You asked me the game of the week.
That was the game of the week. That was the one, the Tampa Bay
One I cared about
Washington
the most,
football team.
The one that I cared about the most was the Tampa Bay Washington football game because I wanted to see Tampa Bay go far. I want to see them go far. I like that story, and I was happy to see Tampa Bay win. I thought that they had control of that game from start to finish, winning 31-23 handily. I thought Tampa Bay, and in particular Tom Brady, looked good. Well protected. Chase Young didn't really get to him as much as it was advertised. And now Tampa Bay goes where? So they got to go to New Orleans.
Yeah, because that's the game of next week.
And then they're likely going to get beat. I hope they don't, because I want that saga to continue. But what did you think of the Tampa Bay Washington game?
I want Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl, so everybody out there can completely lose their minds. Simple as that. I want Tom Brady. If the Giants aren't in it, I want him to win every Super Bowl every year the Giants are not in the playoffs. And if the Giants get eliminated, I want Tom Brady to win. And it's not like I love, I didn't love the Patriots, obviously. I like to see greatness. And it's going to be interesting this weekend. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Bucs won't make the Super Bowl, Brian. I don't. If they go, it would be very interesting to see a Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Brady and Rodgers NFC Championship game, though. Like, that's what the league is rooting for.
Look, it's very possible. I think you're the one who told me, what are the odds that Tampa Bay is going to lose to New Orleans 3 times in one season?
You know what's funny about that? I said that, and everybody says that, but CBS gave a stat. Tony Dungy gave a stat that said it's happened, I think it was 21 times or something like that in the NFL, where a team has played the same team 3 times in 1 year. And I believe he said 11 of those times the team that won the previous 2 won the 3rd game.
And here it wouldn't be surprising because for some reason New Orleans is the better team, but why? Why is New Orleans the better team when they played Tampa Bay both of these times this season? Right now, I think Tampa Bay's hot.
Well,
and New Orleans is not.
Look, Washington scares me moving forward. And we had Chad Polanski on 2 weeks ago, and he was high on the Redskins, and I was like, yeah, I get it, but my tune has changed on the Redskins. Rivera's done a great job. I don't think Alex Smith is going to be there next year, and I don't know if this Heineke guy is going to be your quarterback.
He did all right.
Yeah, but I don't want to overstate. I don't want to be football fans like after Fields, the one game Fields played for Ohio State. Now that was an all-time great college football game, but his performance with the ribs and the whole 9 yards. But I don't want to overstate one game. But Washington's a good football team moving forward. There's no doubt. Their front, their pass rush, their defense is really good. They got a lot to build on. It's just going to be interesting, as far as their quarterback situation going into next year. And again, it's a good, right? Everybody loves the great story, right? Juan Rivera beats cancer. He only missed 3 practices the whole time. He was going through the treatments, and I don't know if anybody's seen the Alex Smith E60. But that was brutal. Did you see that? Have
No.
you seen the Alex Smith 3? Do yourself
Yeah.
a favor.
Oh, we talked about that last week.
If you have young kids, make sure they're not watching it
It's graphic.
because it is gruesome. And it's not even the injury that when it happens, visually when you see a leg snap in half, it's pretty bad. But the photos that they show you when that leg got infected and it's just black, and then what they did is they had to carve out pretty much half of his leg, and they show a photo of all the stuff that they had to carve out of the infection, all the way down to the bone. I mean, it's
Yeah, that's
brutal.
disgusting. What do people want to see in our studio? How about that? Let's.
You don't like my in-depth?
What? Can we get some
Analysis of
comments?
bone?
I want to know what we can do to improve this studio. As I look at the double shot, and I see a sea of blue, and I'm just wondering if anyone has any comments. Let us know what you'd like to see in the studio to make this studio more entertaining for everyone.
So
Anyway, back to sports.
yeah, what's thoughts on Aaron Rodgers' legacy if he wins a Super Bowl this year?
Think about that for a moment. What's our phone number?
Phone number is 845-366-2095.
One more time, 845-366-2095. Not
Yeah, we'll
a
open
single person.
Yeah, we'll open it up soon for calls.
Yeah, because there's like 3 people already waiting, I can see. So you have to decide who you're going to let in.
Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to do my Chris Russo Open, my Mad Dog Open.
You want to just practice that? I don't know why you'd want to give someone else tension. This is the New York Knick time. This is the New York
Yeah,
Knick
I'm
ring.
sure. I'm sure I'm competing with Mad
Listen,
Dog.
Everyone has to start somewhere.
Aaron Rodgers' legacy. Well, if he wins the Super Bowl, it helps. If he doesn't win, I don't think it hurts. I think his legacy has been cemented off of one Super Bowl win.
What does he have? 2 MVPs?
I mean, Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowl wins and
How many MVPs
he's
is
considered garbage, but I don't know. You'd have to look that up. If Aaron Rodgers wins the Super Bowl, does that put him? Man, where does that put him? Top 5? Does it put him in the top 5 if he wins another Super Bowl?
He will have won 2 Super Bowls with one team, right?
Another gunslinger. Another Green Bay gunslinger. I think Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. I think he's your MVP this season. I don't know why the Jets would want to pick up Heineke. I don't know if he's really anybody's future.
Aaron Rodgers. He's got 1 Super Bowl win.
Yep.
And does he have a second Super Bowl appearance? With a loss? I thought
look it
so.
up.
Why do people think he's so great?
I mean, he is great. And it's interesting because here's the funny thing. People will put Aaron Rodgers in the top 5 with 1 Super Bowl, but won't say Brady's the greatest of all time.
Nor will they say Eli Manning is a great quarterback,
Right?
and he's won 2. Crazy.
Top 10. Yeah, Kurt. He's probably top 10. I don't see how he's not.
Who are you talking about?
Kurt said top 10.
Kurt who?
Kurt Vandermark.
All right, Kurt. Jumping in.
Better than Jim Kelly, Kurt? Is he better than Jim Kelly? Joe Clausey wants to talk about the Boston Red Sox.
Baseball now?
He's just kidding, obviously. Yeah, we're not putting a Red Sox poster up here.
He's got, all right, so Aaron Rodgers has 2 MVPs, as I said. He's got 1 Super Bowl ring. He's a 2-time All-Pro. He's a 2-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler.
Look, he's top 10. I mean, now, if you want to compare him to Eli, Super Bowl, here comes Ike. Now, here we go. Here comes the Saints fan. Here comes the
Is
Drew
it
Brees fan.
versus like,
Yeah, Super Bowl wins take an entire team, not just the quarterback. Yes. So is that why Brady's not the greatest quarterback of all time? Is that the argument? Just curious. But Washington, I think in the East is going to be They're gonna be formidable moving forward. Probably they got a change in culture there. Juan Rivera is a good fit. I'm not gonna compare Eli Manning right now to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback for his career
Then Drew Brees.
I mean, Manning did go into Lambeau Field in Green Bay and beat him on a Super Bowl run. He also went in and beat Brett Favre in sub-zero temperatures. Actually went on the road every game that year. See, that's what gets overlooked about Eli Manning. I don't want to talk about 2 catches sums up his career. No, that's false. By the way, one of those catches was all him, was all Manning. Actually, the one he had to get out of like 3 different sacks and threw the ball to the receiver. Now, whether he caught it on, he caught it on his helmet. I mean, yeah, that was probably a lucky catch. But the other one with Manningham down the sideline, that was all Manning. He put that ball right where it needed to be. He looked off the safety. That was all Manning. See, everybody wants to talk about the catch, but they want to discount that they went on the road every single game, went into Green Bay, beat Brett Favre in Lambeau. And actually, if you remember that game, the Giants dominated that game. Lawrence Tynes missed a couple field goals. That game should have been over a lot. It should never went into overtime. Never should have went to overtime. But Tom Brady he threw a couple balls that they were head scratchers, but he threw a lot of balls that were just right on the money. I mean, just perfect passes. I think Tampa Bay's. I think next week's game is going to be really good. Saints and the Bucks.
Browns Steelers. Browns Steelers was the game. It was the 8:00 game. I was so excited for it, and it just fell apart so fast.
What the hell happened? And you know what? This is not surprising from the Steelers this year. Okay? It just simply was not surprising. When the Steelers were 12-1, no, what were they? 11-0? Right? They still had to go play Buffalo. They had to play the Browns. I think they had to play Baltimore. They had to play a lot of really tough teams. And I thought, and I got into discussions with this, and Colin Cowherd is someone people love or they hate him. They watch him. They watch every one of his videos. They listen to him. You like Colin Cowherd?
I do. I like him a lot.
Okay, I like him a lot too. And a lot of times he catches a lot of shit, but a lot of times the guy is right. And I've agreed with him all year about Pittsburgh. When he did his top 10 rankings, he put Pittsburgh like 7th or 8th.
He never thought they were that impressive. He thought they had a weak schedule. He would consistently say, who have they beaten?
Yep. And he was right. And I agreed with him, and I was vocal about it on social media. And I even said, look, the Steelers could go 2-2 or 1-4 or 1-3 in their last 4 games. That's exactly what happened.
Like they started off the game with really bad luck.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Look at this.
Right over his head. That reminded me of Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl against Seattle. That was just a really rough way to start off the game for sure. But it was a fluke, and no one thought that was really going to matter at that point. All right, they got the ball back, and I think did he throw a pick in the next?
Yeah, throw a pick.
At the next possession.
There it is.
He throws a pick.
Kind of lobs it right over. Bang. It was just the game was over before it started. Interesting though how Pittsburgh kind of made it a little. They made it close. They kept doing just enough to keep you watching.
They won every quarter
right,
except the first.
until the fourth. Right, until they got a little bit later on, middle of the fourth quarter. But Pittsburgh did just enough. George, I am going to talk about Peterson. I was going to start with it. The Eagles talk.
Why are the Eagles even relevant right now? Why are we talking?
And the NFL is always relevant. The NFL is always they will always be relevant.
Well,
right. I mean, I think
getting
I
back
said
to the Browns game, it was really sad because clearly the game was basically not even watchable because it was over. It was over after the first quarter. Who's going to come back from 28 points other than Tom Brady? And he wasn't on the field.
Well,
so
yeah,
it wasn't going to happen. And even though the Steelers methodically worked their way back into the game, you're not going to overcome 5 turnovers. And so it was sad. Found myself watching Netflix and periodically
Yeah.
turning on the game.
Well, did you see Ben Roethlisberger going after that ball
Which one?
on the fumble, the bad snap?
What about it?
Did you see him just like he didn't even want to? He
wasn't gonna get it.
he had no desire to go after that ball. He just stood there and watched it. He reminded me of back when we were kids in the neighborhood playing football, and we played tackle football when we were kids, and you had a couple kids that just never wanted to get tackled. They never went by the ball. That's what he looked like. You're right, like you're 12 years old or you're 13, and then you got some of the younger kids, so you have enough, and you got the 7 and 8-year-old that wants no part
Right.
of playing in this game.
Right.
That's what it seemed like Ben Roethlisberger was. I mean, not going for it on 4th down.
Lost sound for a second or two, and then it came back. It's on now. You can keep talking.
Yeah. What the hell was I saying?
You were talking about the past, something totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Oh,
I don't think
Tomlin's
anybody
bad
missed anything during
yeah,
this time
no.
the sound was out. Nick was
Tomlinson's
talking about
bad
a story from 20 years ago.
No, I wasn't. No. Yeah, actually, I was. 20 years ago. 35 years ago. No, just I will say this year in the NFL and this weekend, there was a lot of coaching decisions that made me think, like, what's going on? Tomlin not going for 2, which could have made it a touchdown with a 2-point conversion and a field goal to tie. Instead, he goes for 1, so then they have to get 2 touchdowns to tie or to take the lead. Like, I thought that was odd. He punted on, 4th and 1 late in the game. Frank Reich had a bad game coaching the Colts. A lot of drop passes this year. And I don't mean, the drop passes where it's like fingertips. I mean the hit you in the face, hit you in the chest. I mean, how many of those did we see this weekend?
Saw a lot of drop passes.
A lot of drop passes. Too many. Look, I understand if you're a cornerback,
Especially
a
in the
safety,
Washington
and you're
game.
dropping passes, because if you could catch, you'd be a receiver.
I thought the Washington football game had a lot of drop passes that
Yeah.
were really glaring. It was in the end zone. That dude dropped a pass. That dude threw a dime, right? In the Washington game,
Yeah.
and he dropped it right through the breadbasket. I wish
Yeah.
I could pull that up, but I don't have that at my fingertips.
Now, I understand.
Wait, what'd you think of the Chicago game?
I saw some of it. I actually didn't get to watch a lot of that.
Best part of the game?
When it was over?
Graham's
Yeah,
catch in the
yeah.
last 5 seconds
That
of
is
the
the-
game was the
Yes.
highlight of the game.
Yes, the
All right?
only
That was the best.
yes, that was the only walk-off
He,
in a loss I've ever seen.
did he basically drop the mic
Yeah,
essentially?
it was a walk-off and a loss. Like, did Jimmy Graham just walk off? Like, was that also symbolic of his career? Like, is he going to retire? Was that it?
Was that the best catch?
That's how you go out.
And he walked out of the stadium. Right?
Yeah, he just left. Took off.
Jimmy Graham. Now, is he done?
See ya.
Is he never? What?
I don't know if he's going to retire. I mean, he's old. Old for NFL football.
And it was
standards.
and it was a one-handed catch.
Yeah. I mean, the Saints were just the Saint. I don't think the Bears really had a chance. Yeah, here it is right here. Look at that catch. One-handed.
And he gets up.
I'm
Game's
out.
over.
All right, peace out.
Drops the mic. Says peace. I'm out. And then lots of green stuff. That was unbelievable. That was an incredible play. Too bad it was in a losing effort.
Yeah. I don't think too many people gave Chicago a chance.
Mitch Trubisky didn't play a
You
bad
want-
game, did he?
No, Mitch Trubisky's not a bad quarterback. That's the Bears had a season that was they came out hot 5-0, 5-1, right? And then They went downhill. Trubisky gets benched for Foles. They lose a bunch of games in a row. Trubisky comes back. They win a bunch of games at the end and make the playoffs. That was the opposite season of every team in the NFC East.
Hey,
But I don't think anybody gave him a chance. And the New Orleans defense was really, really good that game.
on the spot. Anything happened in the news today outside of sports? We learned that you went to the gym. That was news. What
Went
else?
to the gym.
What else did you do today? It was a nice day. I was stuck inside.
I worked from the coffee shop for a couple hours. Uptown
Man's
Coffee.
a sucker. So you went to Uptown Coffee,
Yeah.
Kingston?
Yeah.
Nice.
Jenna wasn't in a good mood.
The owner?
Yeah. She's a Bears fan.
Oh,
So, which historically, she hasn't been in a good mood for a long time.
right. But the coffee was fantastic.
Coffee was good. Uptown Coffee. Go there all the time. What else did I do?
What did you get?
I just got a coffee. I didn't.
Put a lot of sugar in your
Yeah,
coffee?
the other day I got a chocolate chip cookie, which was really good. Sometimes I'll get the scrambled eggs with the broccoli, cheese. It's good too.
Are you going to change your diet now that you're working out?
Am I going to change my diet?
Yeah, I shouldn't have called it a diet. Are you going to change your eating habits now that
Yeah,
you're on
yeah,
a
absolutely.
kick to work out?
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say to work out either.
I
The
need
fact
to
that
live
you're
till
gonna
90.
stay
I
in
got to see
shape.
my kids do shit. You know,
You got it all planned out?
got it all planned out.
90.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a different set of plans. It's since
Well, you say you're going to die in a plane crash.
before I'm 65, and the family can recover all that wonderful life insurance you're selling.
So if you get no, like that actually was not a paid advertisement for Uptown Coffee. That's just my spot,
Or for your life insurance.
or for what I do for a living. But yeah, if you ever go to the airport, you're getting on a plane, and you see Kenny, just switch your flight.
That's terrible. Can you imagine if that really is my fate?
You've said it 1,000 times to me. No, I'm not going keto. I don't want you to look at I'll lose like 30 pounds in 4 weeks with keto, and then I'll be like all like skinny.
You should try keto. Keto's good. Let me tell you. You get to eat bacon, eggs, sausage.
I do that anyway.
That's true. I do it editing. Anyway, you can just call it keto
Yeah.
along with some cookies.
If anybody wants to call in, the number to talk NFL, 845-366.
Can people call in?
2095.
Can people call in and just suggest a different topic?
They can call in and talk about, if they can ask me whatever they want.
They can ask whatever they want.
They can ask us whatever they want.
Folks,
I mean, every
listen.
other game this week, you had the Rams and Seahawks, and the Seahawks were just awful. Another team that I think was exploited for how not good they actually are. Russell Wilson was brutal in that game. The Rams looked prepared. Let's just put it that way. Their defense gave Russell Wilson a ton of issues up front early in that game. They gave him a lot of different looks. Now, one guy jumped that screen pass like he knew it was coming. Obviously, he sniffed it out, watched a lot of film. But I mean, he cut right between those two guys and took it to the house. So the Steelers game just that's just, I still can't. What a terrible game. And a lot of Steelers fans have some big mouths. Let's just be honest. They were quiet. It was
there
good.
wasn't much to.
It's like
really
you know
root
what?
for.
It's
Right from the beginning. Look, 28.
I didn't-
nothing
you didn't-
down.
it was
in the first
great because
quarter.
I didn't-
They probably stopped watching.
oh, you didn't hear from him on Facebook or social media. It's like when the 49ers are on.
Who?
God, I got some friends that are 49er fans. They're intolerable on Facebook when they score a touchdown.
How about them Rams? Asks Kurt, or says Kurt. Playing with a broken thumb? Or is it a dislocated thumb?
I think it's a broken thumb.
Jared Goff, right?
Yeah. So now
They
going in,
took care of business for sure against the Seahawks.
yeah.
What's
So go,
your prediction for the Rams next week?
where are they going?
Well, they're not going to New Orleans. So the only remaining NFC team is going to be Green Bay.
They're gonna get smoked.
Who's their running back?
They're gonna get smoked.
Who's the running back for the Rams? Do you know?
I don't know.
Because I don't. because I don't know anything about sports.
The Rams are going to get smoked. Aaron Rodgers is going to smoke them.
Okay, I'm done. I mean, this is wonderful. 40 minutes in, I think I've talked about as much sports as I can. Did you watch 60 Minutes yesterday? Anybody watch 60 Minutes last night?
No. Who watches 60 Minutes?
You didn't
How
watch
old
60
are you?
Minutes?
I'm morally safer.
Did you see the video?
What the hell are you talking about?
Dude, they had the guy from Georgia, the gentleman who was involved with the security of the election, and he played the Georgia Board of Elections, in which the individuals were counting the ballots
no.
and had the boxes underneath the table. You didn't see any of that?
No. I mean, I know the story.
And he
but
went through the timeline and he explained that it was all transparent, totally fine. There were no shenanigans, and it was really interesting.
I will get, well,
That was in the news. Did you read the paper today?
the paper?
Yeah.
You read the paper, the actual physical paper,
Do you subscribe?
and you watch 60 Minutes.
I don't. I just watched that because it was an interesting.
Do you want to
Segment.
have an Activia before you go to bed in 20 minutes? Shit. My God.
All right, back to sports. There.
Look, my view, I don't want to talk politics, but I just think everybody needs to relax, and I think a lot of people need to be equitable in their outrage. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Need more mirrors than windows in your house, people. Think about that one.
I think it's a really good statement. Yeah.
Now, here's somebody on Facebook, John. Brees yards, only 7 other 5,000-yard seasons in the history of the NFL. No one else with more than one. Look, I'm not going to argue that. Brees is an all-time great. You know what's interesting to me? Sean Payton, when he was with the Giants, was probably one of the worst offensive coordinators I've ever seen under Jim Fassel. To the point where Jim Fassel took the play calling away from him. And then he goes to New Orleans, and he's like one of the greatest head coaches ever. That goes to show you, some guys, like a Todd Bowles, Rex Ryan, Steve Spagnuolo, you know, those guys are better coordinators than head coaches. And apparently, it was the other way around. Thoughts, Kenny?
Drew Brees took apart Chicago. That's what he's paid to do, and he's a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky,
Yeah.
and he had better pieces. And
I think yeah. So we just had a question.
Drew Brees isn't exactly young, nor are the players on his team. But they have more guys on the playoff roster, I think. Meaning more guys on their team that have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he's a top 5. Who would disagree? It's not really something that's controversial.
No. I just wanted to. Somebody commented on YouTube, so I wanted to talk about it. I think Ben Roethlisberger is going to retire, though.
Why would you retire? He got to the playoffs. He's got a $40 million contract coming up, I think. He's just not going to walk away. He's going to play
so?
that. He's going to play one more year.
He's got 1 year, $40 million left.
I think
or
so.
Just make that
They
up.
said it's $40 million against the cap. So what does that mean?
I don't know. Well, that's. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's.
That's
unless they
that's what
deferred
they're
money and all
saying.
that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know how that contract.
He's in the last year of his
Kinda
deal.
worked out.
And it looked like it said 4-0 on ESPN this morning.
I'm not walking away from $40 million.
No.
I mean, if they want to pay me like.
Are they
40
even
grand,
allowed to buy you out of that? Can they buy you out
It
of
would
your
be
contract and then not
I'm sure they
cap it?
No, there'll be a cap hit.
I mean, could it be less? In other words, if I said, look, you can play 16 games for your $40 million.
And it'll be a lower cap hit. I don't know how the contract is structured. I don't know if I'm walking away from $40 million though. That's for damn sure. Uh-oh, Mary. Mary chimed in, I think, when we
Nick,
were
where do you get
talking
your news
politics.
from? Nick, where do you get your news from? That's a good question.
What news? Oh, because I don't. Oh, was this because I don't
You don't
watch
read the paper.
I know.
No, it's
was
because I said
I don't
I
read the
didn't
paper and I
read
don't
the
watch
paper.
60 Minutes,
So
and I
the-
think Mary got mad.
So where do you get the news? Where do you get your news? It's a good question. Where do you get your news?
Where everybody else does, Kenny, from Facebook.
That's funny. because Facebook certainly is credible news. That is funny. Where do you get your news? I really
I
want
don't
to
know.
know.
I don't get it from Barbara Walters. And
I don't think anyone's getting news from Barbara Walters
wasn't she on
right
60
now.
Minutes?
I don't even know if
60
she's
Minutes.
alive.
I think she's still alive. And I wouldn't Yep, $40. I'll go quarterback for $40. $40 million is a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
I don't see.
If anybody wants to call in,
don't see Ben
845-366-2095. Come on. Everybody wanted to. Everybody.
Walking away. No reason.
No.
Did he have a lot of sacks this year against him? No. Right? He wasn't sacked a ton.
No, but I mean, his mobility. I mean, he's shot.
He put up over 30 points yesterday. Right?
Well, yeah.
Dude looks
But-
good. Dropping dimes.
It's the Giants.
These are the highlights for the year.
It's a first game of the season. The Giants were terrible.
Just letting you know that a
If,
man
I can
is
tell you this right now. God, I can't realize I'm going to say this because I hate when people say this.
You're going to say if the Giants played them right now.
If the Giants played them
would
at the end of
beat
the
them?
season, it would be a different story.
I don't know about that.
Just like if the season ends today. The worst comment in the history of sports. If the season ended today.
Isaac, I like your comment. Just stop watching. Make a phone call and call in. Talk to Nick. Ask him a question. He said he'll take any question.
He said we're all watching on our phones. Oh, well, that's not my fault. That's a you problem. That's a you problem. All right, I think we beat the NFL into the ground, and I wanted to talk about the Mets.
Okay, just let me know when I can wake up.
Can you put help wanted for co-host?
I think people.
Banner up there.
It's interesting. People should call in if they want to be involved, or they can come be. They can be a co-host. It would be awesome if we could just have someone call in. Other than the 3 people who did call, we couldn't take their phone calls. They were not appropriate.
I don't know why you don't talk more because everybody loves your voice, Kenny.
I have nothing to say.
They
about
just love your
sports.
voice. Just talk about
funny.
anything. Listen, I'll talk about anything with you if you're going to talk. You sound great. You got a Mickey Mouse mug and everything.
I'm well prepared. I wanted to be happy. Mickey Mouse.
The Lindor trade with the Mets.
I don't even know who that is.
Okay, so the Mets traded. They got Carrasco and Francisco Lindor, who is one of, if not the best shortstops in the game. It makes the Mets immediately better. Voice of an angel. Yeah, he does have a voice of an angel.
What's the phone number? Oh, never mind. Got it. There you go.
It makes the Mets right out of the gate better, but they need more.
Careful what we wish for. I don't know who's going to call in now.
Hopefully, Mary. The Mets need to do more, though. And look, I've said the Mets, Cohen needs to come out and make a splash, right? Uncle Steve needs to come out and make a splash, and he did. But I don't think this move makes you a contender yet. I think you have a lot. I think that the National League East is going to be very good. And there's a lot of baseball we're going to talk about later on, as we move forward. And then as we get into the spring and be raging every day about the Yankees and Aaron Boone. But the Mets still need a little bit more. Now, if they can add Springer, now they've added a lot of offense, and DeGrom doesn't have to, have a losing record with a 2 ERA. I've never seen the Mets have had some of the best pitchers to ever pitch in the game and lose games 2-1. 1-0. That's got to stop, people. That's got to stop. Mary said I'm coming up.
I think that's awesome.
Quick, lock the door. Yes, they need some bullpen improvements. And again, I think they need a little more offense. George Springer would help them, but the bullpen is going to be a problem because DeGrom and your starting pitcher, they're not going to go 8 innings every day. I'll tell you what, if they can just get a little bit of bullpen help and add Springer, it puts him at the top. But you have to realize, I think the Marlins are going to be better. I think the Phillies are going to be better than they were last year. And you have the Braves, which are a good team. So there's a lot of competition in the NL East. A lot of competition. A lot. And I mean, that's really all you can talk about the Mets. I mean, they made one trade. They made one trade. Let's not everybody lose their minds.
So here in the Kingston.
Now, Mary's threatened us. She said, I locked the door. She's saying, we have a key. Domestic terrorist. She comes busted in here.
Stop that. So here in the Kingston.
I'm just kidding, Mary. You know
district,
I love you.
You've got 2 kids in the district, right, Nick?
I do.
And so this week we were all asked as parents whether we were going to send our kids back for the hybrid/remote learning, or if your child was going to remain home 100% of the time. What did you choose?
You'd have to ask Amy.
Well, if you had an opportunity to choose, and I assume as a good parent, you engaged in good parenting and participated in that decision with your wife. So what did you guys choose? You don't know?
Yeah. I mean, they would go back. They would go back because, my son Jake is somebody that needs to be in the class, right? It's not that he's really struggling, but he's struggling more than he has in the past. And he gets really stressed out about it because he's a perfectionist and everything has to be 100 across the board, even though it's, in classes that I would have never been in high school because he's 10 times smarter than me. Abby, I think, would benefit from it also from the social aspect of it. She's a little bit younger. She's 12, Jake's 16. But I'm fine with them going back. Absolutely. No problems with it. What did you decide, Kenny?
I decided the same thing, that both kids would go back to school. I think it's important that when hybrid learning starts back up again on the 19th, that both the kids get to go. My kids will go to school Monday and Tuesday and be essentially back home Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So from that perspective, I thought it was important. I thought it was interesting that in the news there were parents that have clearly were in support of the kids going back. It's easy to say go back. You have to have a solution to getting them to go back safely. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully they go back full time with all the kids going back 5 days a week as soon as they can, and then reopening up sports for the spring.
So, Joe, are you there?
I am.
Joe Clausey, everybody.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on? What do you got to offer to the show,
Not
Joe?
much, my friend. How are you?
Good. How? So,
I mean, you're talking school, and I'm a principal. I've been in education for 21 years.
now that's out in California, right? Where are we talking?
I am now. I'm out in California in Ventura County, and I've been out here now for, like 9 years. But before this, I was in New York City, and I bounced around in New York City public schools for quite a bit of time, almost like 12 or 13 years before it came out. Yeah.
So what's going on out there as far as school? I mean, are you guys on, like, you're pretty much shut down, right? Is it all remote learning?
We are, yeah. It's been all remote since like the middle of March of 2020. And I mean, our numbers are so bad right now, Nick, right? Like we're kind of the epicenter of the US, which is nothing to brag about, but statistically speaking, just south of where I am, like literally 60 miles, like the distance of Kingston from the city is where I am from LA.
Yep.
And so we're dealing with the numbers are just terrible. So we're still on lockdown. We're still probably going to remain remote. I would see, our vaccine distribution has not been very sound in the state of California either. So educators are supposed to be next, but I don't see us really finishing, all of that until like end of March, probably.
So
Is
there is there pushback from, what kind of pushback are you getting from teachers or from parents as far as, teachers getting the vaccine, and do parents want their kids back in school, or is it kind of where you are? It's like, no, we can't, we don't want this at all as far as going back.
That's a super loaded question.
Yeah, that was like 3 loaded questions.
So yeah, we definitely, I have 2 kids as well. I would want them to go back as long as the environment is safe, right?
Yeah.
Because every kid would benefit from in-person learning. There is no two ways about that. Now you can have a combination of 2, et cetera, however you want to do it. But at the school that I'm at, we've been pretty successful in figuring out ways to reach kids that, because we understand, my school is architecture, construction, engineering, computer science. It is everything that Kingston was not, Nick. So we know the kids, we are like all up in their business. We try to figure out everything holistically, how those kids learn so we could best prepare them for the steps moving forward. All that being said, my kids are like hands-on learners. They don't sit in seats for 50 minutes or 90 minutes and take notes. Like they got to get up, they got to get involved.
Yeah.
So it's you put them in distance learning over this amount of time. It's like, oh my gosh, how do you teach construction remotely?
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
So
how's the effect been on Joe? How's the effect on the healthcare system out in your neck of the woods in California? Because as you referenced, for those who just maybe jumped on, we're speaking with Joe Clausey, who formerly is of the Ulster County area, now lives in California, where he's a school principal. So he has his finger on the pulse of the community and he can tell us how bad or how good or how much better the situation is in that area. So what's up with the healthcare system and your hospitals?
It's a great question, because that's one of the reasons why we probably won't reopen. They're so bad. The ICUs are at max capacity. They're not in Ventura County are they turning people down, but just south of us in LA County, so just below us is Los Angeles. So, they're turning people down from healthcare based on, their current condition when they're first encountering medical services. So it's such a gnarly scenario to be in, knowing that, if you hurt yourself right now, it's my 2 kids are crazy, right? They're doing all kinds of stuff, jumping all over everything. And I just keep thinking like, oh my gosh, if they ever get hurt, we cannot go to the hospital. They probably won't even take us at this point. It's just too inundated with cases.
Well, hopefully your family, your friends, and everyone in your community does not suffer like that and is doing well. And just to change the subject to something with a little more levity in terms of sports, given that you had a Los Angeles team in the playoffs yesterday. So did you find that your community, your friends, your family were basically getting to get behind that to take their minds off of the health crisis and try to enjoy some time with the Los Angeles Rams?
Yeah, it's funny. Sports plays that part in our life, right? That is, they play that part in the world, especially in the United States. After 9/11, everybody was so stoked to see the Yankees on TV, and I do not like the Yankees. Nick can attest.
Yes, I was a Red Sox fan.
As right. So it means something to bring people all together in for one different cause, maybe a distraction but it stands for hope, right? We enjoy who wins and talk about who losses, and it changes our minds for a little bit. And it was one of the reasons why I wanted to call, because, I had a long-standing argument with Nick and the majority of the people that I grew up with that are all Yankee fans. As we were diehard baseball, I still do kind of see the Giants on TV, but it's just so frustrating, right? And I can only take so much of that after all these years. But all that being said, I wanted to call because after the steroid situation in baseball, I kind of stopped watching it. I definitely took a little bit of a break. I had to, it was like my personal boycott, right? Like that means something. So I'm like, that's it. I'm just not going to watch it. Take that, baseball. And then I, of course, because I love it, I started following it again on an unhealthy level. And now we have the cheating scandal. Lest we forget, not long prior to all this COVID stuff, right?
Yeah.
We had this scandal that rocked baseball. And that is like the last straw for me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back. So I have had a hard time following baseball. I mean, the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers. Out here, it's kind of cool. Everybody's like Dodger fans, etc. But I just have a hard time watching it. I don't know if I'm ever going to go back. I have to say that.
Yeah, and, I mean, it's a sad time for baseball in L.A. with Tommy Lasorda passing away, a baseball legend. A baseball legend. And it's interesting because the steroid scandal was unbelievable. Well, the steroid era was unbelievable to me because you had Bud Selig, who did nothing about steroids. And I know his hands were tied because the union is so strong in Major League Baseball and Donald Fear and those guys. I mean, it was a very tough situation. But it almost seemed like they didn't want to do anything because right. It seemed like, chicks dig the long ball, right? Like home runs, people want to see home runs. It doesn't matter how many home run derbies are on. That's all you want to see.
Remember how many home runs? Nick, that drove baseball those years, right?
Yeah. I mean, Ken
like
Campbell. I mean,
those guys were hitting like 70.
Yeah, nobody hit 60, and then all of a sudden there was like 2 or 3 guys hitting 60, and they were just going back and forth, and then somebody hits, McGuire hits 70, and Bonds hits whatever. But
by the way, that was awesome. I could watch that again, and I could care less if they take steroids. Yeah. I like watching that.
Yeah, but you know what though? When you have a commissioner who then to solidify his legacy to get in the Hall of Fame, then runs out and tries to clean up the game and be some high and mighty, from upon high, and goes and meets with other felon criminals to dig up dirt on guys like A-Rod and all these other players.
That's terrible.
I just think Bud Selig was just a real piece of shit, to be honest with that.
Tell us how you really feel.
Right? I just think it was very hypocritical of Bud Selig. And now you come into the cheating scandal, and you've offered so much immunity to everybody, and now you have the coaches, A.J. Hinch and who was it, Alex Cora? Right? I always want to call him Joey Cora.
Yeah.
But Alex Cora, now they both have jobs. 1 year later, they have jobs.
You got to forgive me. I've completely forgotten what the hell happened during the COVID situation. We did have a baseball
you had a shortened 50-game season.
And we did have a World Series.
Yeah.
And so the cheating you're talking about, at least with respect to the scandal this past season, that was the Astros?
Yeah, that was the Astros sign stealing. That Cora was with the Astros, and then he went to the Red Sox, and they won a World Series. So he got suspended from the Astros, from his part in the Astros scandal. Which was, by the way, brutal.
Before you go there, Nick.
I was.
Before you go there,
I wasn't going anywhere. I know what
you're leading. I know. You don't have to say anything else. You don't have to say anything else. I know what you're going to say.
I was just.
And there is no defense. I have no defense.
I was just trying to tell Kenny what I was trying to just tell him he's not really a baseball guy. I mean, it's not my fault. The Red Sox probably cheated to win, but I'm just giving him the information.
And we'll never know. And I want that authenticity. If I'm going to spend that amount of time in my life investing in something, I want authenticity.
Yes, and
I don't want to be cheated on.
No, and this is why I have been adamant forever about Pete Rose never making the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know how you feel about it.
It's going to start. Absolutely. No, that would be the first and only thing they should do. They want to win me back, allow Pete Rose in.
See, you want Pete Rose in.
That's how I get that. I want Pete Rose back. I mean, how many things have happened in baseball so far that have been worse than that? And you have not seen a ban since. And I might be wrong on that. But serious.
I'd rather.
Point.
Listen, I do not want Pete Rose back in baseball. I think if you're going to bring somebody back, bring Shoeless Joe back give him a spot in the Hall of Fame before you bring back Pete Rose. Pete Rose, there's a reason why it's zero tolerance gambling on games. I don't care if you gambled on him to win. I don't care what he was doing. If he was gambling on his team to win, that cannot be allowed because the leagues know that if they allow that and they bend on that rule, it could go away. Major League Baseball could go away. The NBA could go away. Not just so much gambling like me, like if I wanted to gamble. It just, and people will use the integrity of the game argument with steroids. But if you're managing a game, you can totally change the dynamic of an entire division. I mean, you know.
I mean, why else would Houston cheat? Why else would Boston cheat?
Well, I don't
Why
know.
else do you cheat?
I don't know if Boston really cheated. I don't think there's really any evidence of them cheating.
I mean, no, there isn't. But there isn't. There's certainly reason to suspect, right? Like I would be like I would pull them over and say, hey, listen, I'm going to search the vehicle. I got probable cause.
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to instill doubt in every baseball player or baseball fan's mind moving forward, period.
Now,
So I know where you're going with that, but I mean, how much worse, how many other worse things have happened? Steroids, all that jazz. These guys don't get banned.
yeah, but that's not going to destroy the game as much as a player or a coach that's involved in the game gambling. I just don't
Or
think
do
it
you
does.
think the cleanup is just too immense?
For the Astros?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then, I mean, who took part in it? Who you banned? I mean, what do you do? Guys are now not
But
on the team.
Okay, so then let's spend a minute just going there really quick, if you'll just humor me. And thank you for taking my call, by the way. Lifetime listener, longtime fan. 61205. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but I was thinking of that.
I don't have a hooah or
And I wanted
anything.
to start the call.
Have something.
I was
Do
just so
some
excited to
sound
get on it. I went right through it. Oh my god. Yeah. So Jose Altuve. Okay. Just humor me for 30 seconds. My man knows with that he's mic'd up, right? You saw the video where he's holding the mic. You know, don't crowd me or don't knock me over or don't rip my shirt off or whatever. 'Cause he's got all the jazz, the wire underneath him.
Yeah, it was totally obvious.
Clearly
100%.
is cheating. Bro, he had an amazing eye for baseball. Clearly, we now know why, right? Feeling the signs. He was able to sit on anything. If you could sit on anything, you could be probably subpar, still hit the way he hit. But he was still a good hitter prior to.
Correct.
So you throw all these things together. I'm just saying, like, you don't want a lifetime ban that guy. The evidence is clear. Clear.
Yeah, I mean, he won an MVP? Was a Rookie of the Year over Aaron Judge.
I mean, okay.
Right?
I'll give you some props on Judge.
Yeah, I just mean, if you're cheating and now you're winning awards and you're doing all this stuff and your team wins a World Series. I mean, it was bad for baseball. I absolutely agree. I just don't know what your repercussions are. I just think baseball, they do a real poor job on handling things anyway in general. They really do. They could have
They don't do anything.
No, they could have. Major League Baseball, I think everybody knows if you follow baseball, they have a problem with their union being way too strong, right? Would you agree?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay. This was a time where they had the opportunity to really turn the tables, maybe just in the public eye, in their favor a little bit, if they would have punished them the right way. Now, I know Manfred's going to say, well, there's nothing we can do. The union's going to fight it. But put it out there and let the union fight it. Make them fight it. Make them look bad in this. Now what happens is now baseball, any one of those guys, if you throw out an Astros player, you're going to get suspended. And now it's almost like it flipped. Now the league is going to punish the guys that are going to go after the cheaters for hitting them with pitches. Instead of, they could have just taken this and really just said, no, we're going to suspend half your team, there's going to be these penalties and these fines, and then make the union defend cheating. Make the union defend that cheating that everybody hated. But they didn't. They dropped the ball totally.
Yeah. I mean, as a pitcher, I don't know. I hear you. I definitely hear you. But as a pitcher, I would have a hard time justifying throwing at anybody. I mean, these guys are pinpoint accurate, right? So if they're going to hit you in the leg, they're going to hit you in the leg. So I don't know if we could say, like, as long as they hit him below the belt or something in a safe spot. But that's rarely the case, and usually the ball flies, and you never know where it goes. And these guys are throwing hard.
No, absolutely. Listen, I 100%. I
Kind of
understand.
helmet they got, but I hear you. Though. I'm totally with you.
It's more. I'm not
And,
advocating throwing at guys. I think it's more of a perception problem.
But yeah, justification, right? It's Major League Baseball's lack of their ability to issue proper discipline. I would agree with you. The union is too big. The business gets in the way, right? Of health, of authenticity, clearly, and it's at the expense of the fans. It's at the expense of the players. Usually, like I asked the question before about should Roethlisberger retire after a season like that. I mean, how many more hits is this guy going to take? He threw 4 interceptions as well, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, at some point in time, you might want to say, well, you got somebody that are we forming somebody? Are we prepping somebody? Are we ready for whoever's next? Are we thinking about turning that page? Like, that sounds like good coaching to me. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I think people forget.
I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, I think people forget how much of a beating Roethlisberger has taken over the past decade and a half.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that body has taken an absolute pounding. So we're on the phone with Joe Clausi.
Yeah, he's not mobile.
Now he's not. So he's going to take more of a beating.
Right.
At least before he was big and mobile. Now he's just big and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're on the phone with Joe Clausi. Before we let you go, Joe, first of all, thanks for calling in. I can't wait till I can't wait till baseball starts because there's a lot of good discussions we can have as we move forward into the baseball season. Now, when we were younger,
the show becomes so much better when a guest comes on, and calls, and has something to say that's on point, and not only talked about sports, but brought in some community information that is important to everyone. I love that.
I'm trying to get Jeff Boomhauer on at some point, but we'll see that.
Oh my gosh, where you and represent in the house.
Didn't you have wallpaper with little Red Sox on it?
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. That's what I mean. Like, die hard. We followed baseball like that was our life, right?
Yeah.
And then to have them cheat with the steroids was one thing, and I kind of I was too big of a fan to let it take me down, and I thought that they were starting to at least correct it, so at some point in time they would do it correctly. But now it's with this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should go back. I really don't.
Yeah.
But then, what do I do? Do I watch the Knicks? Do I watch the Giants? What do I do now? Where am I supposed to go next?
Well, now is a good time to watch the Knicks because they're actually playing a little bit better. And if you're a Knicks fan, I would say proceed with cautious optimism. But, because they're the Knicks. At the end of the day, they're still the Knicks.
As always.
Right?
As always.
Hey, before you go, Ike Jones and Mark Nelson say hi. They've said hi on Facebook.
Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine those guys?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So
I don't even have Facebook, man, but I'm psyched to watch you guys on YouTube.
Yeah,
Good
that's
show.
what.
Great time. I'll call again.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, thanks for calling. Keep in touch. If you need anything, you got my number. I'll fly out there immediately. Give you the vaccination myself.
Right on.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
All right, you guys. See you
all right, bye.
Take care.
And that's about it.
Yeah. I listen.
No, tease it for the next week.
No. I have to talk about this. I have to talk about it. So
Nick?
No. It's what happened. I mean, there was news today in the NFL and the NFC East.
It was.
Yeah, Doug Peterson, head coach of the Eagles, was fired
Get out.
today.
That's a huge topic that you can't just hit people with an hour and 15 minutes into this.
I'll hit people with whatever I want. How about that?
How about we talk about that?
Now we're gonna talk about it
next
right
time?
now, real quick.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Now, did Doug Peterson do the doing of management with taking Jalen Hurts out at the end of that game? Or was it he did it as, I know I'm not going to be back, so here's an FU to the organization? Because from all the reports, there were players that had to be restrained on the sidelines from going after Doug Peterson on the Eagles for taking Jalen Hurts out in a close game. So I think it's very, very interesting that now he gets fired. So I wonder what really happened there. Was he told to take Hurts out?
Apparently not.
Or did he just do it and go, you know what? F all of you. And then like that was his Jimmy Graham. That was his mic drop. And Joe Judge caught a lot of shit for his comments that he made, and I think people misunderstood what he was saying. Because I was watching ESPN and they pretty much made him out to be a crybaby, Kenny Mayne saying, "Well, you got to win more games." But they didn't play the whole clip where he said we have to win more than 6 games. But what he was doing, what Joe Judge was doing, was he was telling people, look, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that to my players, right? We've sacrificed during this COVID. It wasn't because the Giants didn't make the playoffs. He was telling the players in his locker room, I'm never going to do that to you. He was telling everybody else in the NFL world, we will never do that as long as I'm the coach. Not just his players. He was telling the Eagles players, putting it in their minds, if it already wasn't there, that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that as head coach of the Giants. So Peterson at that point lost the locker room, and Joe Judge just jammed the screwdriver in his back a little bit more. And if at the end of the day, he didn't know Peterson was going to be gone, but who's going to run through a brick wall? The Eagles for Doug Peterson or the Giants for Joe Judge? The Giants for Joe Judge.
And Peterson did not throw the Eagles ownership or GM under the bus.
No.
He didn't come back and change his story. He never came, after being fired, he never said to the press, hey, the real story here is the ownership wanted me to lose this game so we could get a better draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, who really knows what was said? Mark Nelson says people close to Peterson said he was sick of people telling him what to do. Well, now I wonder where he ends up. You knew he wasn't coming back because he totally lost that locker room. When players want to go after you on the sidelines, you're not getting that back. You're not getting them back, right? You cannot go back into that locker room and ask. The biggest thing in football that a coach needs to do is get buy-in, right? You would hear, oh, all in. We're all in. Guys aren't going all in for you if you quit on them at the end of the year. It's just not going to happen. I think we kind of wrap it up there. Oh, who do you got tonight for Ohio State, Alabama? Real quick. Ohio State, Alabama. Game
Alabama.
right now. Alabama?
Alabama.
Do you think Justin Fields' stock changes? Do you think his draft status changes if he has a good game and wins?
No.
I don't either.
And on that note,
I still think the Clemson quarterback there is going to go number 1. I want to thank everybody that watched, listened. This will be up on YouTube. Mike Raposa has Ohio State. I think he's crazy. But then again, I said Clemson was going to blow out Ohio State, so what the hell do I know? I don't really watch a lot of college football. I want to thank everybody that listened. I want to thank Joe Clausey from calling in from all the way out in Ventura County, I think it is, California.
California guest joining your show. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that was a good show. We'll be back next week. I'm going to start posting stuff on the YouTube channel, different rants and stuff. So you're going to want to go to the New York Nick and subscribe there because there's going to be some stuff going on there. Kenny, you got anything to say?
I just want to thank everyone.
People love your voice. You got to talk.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They love it.
I don't know what you're talking
Everybody
about.
loves your voice. You go through here, they're like, it's molasses on a washboard. It's a hot
I'm
night
just
with
glad
butter.
that this is working.
Whatever it
and
is.
I'm glad I can help facilitate this to be smooth. And as we progress and have more things to talk about, I'll have more things to say.
Sounds
And
good.
we'll keep getting good guests.
Thanks, everybody, for commenting. We'll have some guests next week. Talk about the NFL.
Peace.
See you.